Hey everybody, this is Johnny A for Studio Sessions, and we're diving into some more fan mail. We got a lot of questions over the last bunch of weeks, so we're going to do a few of these episodes dedicated to fan mail. Are you a Fairchild and Pultec guy? If so, what do you find gets these sounds? Well, Fairchild's got a Fairchild sound, and Pultec sound like Pultecs. But not everybody can afford the real thing. Vintage Fairchilds are going for about 50 grand now, $60,000, and Pultecs are getting up there too. So what I'm using is a Fairchild clone, and it's made by ADL, Anthony DeMaria Labs, and it's a clone of a stereo Fairchild, the 670, so it's an ADL 670, that's what I use for that. For people that don't know what a Fairchild is before we move on to Pultec, Fairchild is a type of compressor, and it's a tube compressor, pretty elaborate, especially for the day. Very famous on records like Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, you know, a lot of the Beatle albums. They switched over to Fairchilds midway through A Hard Day's Night, so any Beatle record from A Hard Day's Night on, you can hear the presence of what a Fairchild compressor sounds like. Pultecs are another tube style EQ, and they have a kind of an interesting way that they work in that you can actually boost and cut the same frequencies. I own a Pultec reproduction by a company called Retro. It's a Retro 2A3, and that's what we use for that. For this record, your new record, are you using a real drum kit or a combination of live and samples? Well, I'm kind of taking a different approach to this record, and I've kind of been doing everything myself on this record to this point anyway. And I've been using a drum software program called Addictive Drum Software. I love it because it's live drums, and I mean, let's face it, even a live drummer is a sample at one point, because once you record him, it's not him playing live anymore, it's a recording of the drums. So at one point, what's a sample and what's not a sample? So in this case, it's a software program where you can take beats, you can drag and drop them, you can manipulate them once they're in there, you can change the dynamics, you can change the feel, you can change the drums you use, you can tune the drums. I think they sound quite natural and convincing. Especially raw like that, not processed, that's just the program. Pretty convincing. I probably would defy anybody once the program was designed for the song and EQ'd and compressed and doing all the things that you would do to a drum kit, probably defy anybody to tell me whether that was a real drummer or not a real drummer. But the reality is that actually was a real drummer playing that. Unlike a drum machine where you're programming things in, this actually starts with grooves, with beats, and then you can manipulate it. As soon as you drag and drop the drum beat into the timeline, it becomes a MIDI file. Now you can manipulate where the kick drum is and all that other stuff. So I'm having fun with this program. I think it sounds unbelievably natural, convincing, and punchy. So stay tuned. I haven't made a decision whether or not I'm using this for the record or a live drummer or a combination. We'll see. Why did you choose John Storyk as the designer for your new studio? This is not my new studio. This is a studio that I'm tracking in. Most of the gear is in here. We just bought a new console that's sitting up in the garage with the car and the motorcycle. We're building a ground-up studio, and I came to know John Storyk through a friend of mine, PK Pandy, who runs and created GC Pro for Guitar Center. I've always heard of John Storyk. He's legendary because he's the guy that designed Electric Lady Studios for Jimi Hendrix, and he's designed over 3,000 recording studios. He's probably the foremost acoustician architect in the world. Not only are his designs functional, but they're usually aesthetically very pleasing. He's done studios for Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, Goo Goo Dolls, Green Day. That's really why I chose him. I mean, his pedigree and the breadth of his work. I just like his whole philosophy about it. So we went with John Storyk. What recent releases does Johnny like to listen to? You know what, I couldn't even tell you this because I don't listen to anything current. I mean, if I happen to be in the car and the radio's on, I'll listen, but radio is so bad these days about identifying who you're listening to that it's hard to tell. Most of the time I'm just listening to my faves. You know, it could be John Scofield or Jerry Rafferty. This morning I was listening to the Everly Brothers, and so new releases. I don't know. I liked what I heard on the new Bonnie Raitt album, but you know, is there a Bonnie Raitt album that isn't great? I was with Joe Bonamassa last week, and he laid on his new record, Driving Towards the Daylight, with Kevin Shirley producing, which I thought sounded incredible. So recent releases, current stuff, I don't know what I'm listening to, because when I'm in the radio, I don't know what I'm hearing. It's just, I hear a lot of great stuff, but I can't name who they are. So that's it for studio sessions this week, fan mail edition. Thanks for writing this stuff. It's a great way to keep in contact while I'm not on the road. You can hit me up on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/johnny8.official. So we'll see you soon, and thanks a lot. Keep them coming. Take care.